That's an amazing hack.
I think the one that comes to my mind, which is kind of ironic, how many people know what MySQL is? Okay, most of us. So MySQL actually got hacked with a SQL injection attack, I believe a couple months ago, which is really ironic because they're a database company that got hacked with a database hack, which is kind of funny.
Another popular one is about us. Once again, we're like, the U.S. is some of the most brilliant people when it comes to destruction in different forms, but there's classified documents released that were later on classified, I believe, about a Russian pipeline somewhere in Siberia, and malware got planted. They believe the CIA had involvement in it, and it pretty much inserted a time bomb into the software of the plant that was in charge of maintaining the oil flow in the area. And what they did is they just caused some of the machinery to up the pressure to where the plant exploded and the pipeline burst. And it was politically motivated, but that's also another one. Software can definitely influence hardware and people. And Die Hard, whatever the last one was with Bruce Willis and that Mac dude, that's not too far off. It's a little fiction-y, but you'd be surprised at how much is controlled by a computer.
Does anyone have anything else to add before we go to Q&A? So at this time, feel free to just ask us any question, and hopefully we'll answer it for you.
If you guys want to make a tweet, if you don't want to raise your hand, you're more than welcome to, or just anything under the sun. If we can't answer it, we all have things to learn.
Or anything we talked about that you want us to clarify?
Anybody? Don't be scared. Yes.
I know.
Sure.
10
points for being brave.
Yeah. First of all, we talk about password, and you mentioned easy password, easy to remember the password, and the characters that you have to add it on it. If I'm using a password for 12 characters with hash and numbers, and between the numbers there is a password for alphabet.
Password link.
Depends. You're always never going to be safe 100%, no matter where you go. A 12 character is definitely better than 8 character. The longer you get, the better it is. If it's 12 characters, uppercase, lowercase numbers, special characters, I would say that's pretty safe. But again, keep in mind, you're not always going to be, completely safe, period, unfortunately.
Security.
Yeah, you talk about the Wi-Fi, so you talk about the public Wi-Fi.
Right.
We have a problem. We cannot connect to the public Wi-Fi. We are disconnecting with the network, with the internet.
We are connected to the public Wi-Fi. We can't be 100% safe.
No.
This is the thing to think about when you're thinking about security in general. This goes for police or it goes for computers. Who's going to attack you? Why don't we have bars on every single window? Right? I can say, if I'm a bar salesman, I'm an iron bar salesman, I'm going to say, hey, put an iron bar in every single window. Otherwise, somebody could come in your window, right? Scare the hell out of you. No one comes in our windows, right? If people start coming in our windows, then we'll install iron bars. If you want to be sane, keep your sanity, and secure, you have to look at who your enemy is and how likely he is to attack you. I always tell people that the most security I have in my bank account, I don't have any money. I don't have any money. Good luck stealing anything from my bank account. Right? I can afford to lose what I have in there. I don't have that much.
It's not money. It's
Well,
my documents.
Okay, your documents.
My
Who?
passport.
What's your name again? What's your name?
Sultan.
Sultan. Yeah. George, good to see you again. I forgot your name. But no, I mean, but first of all, one of them is if you lost your documents, how much damage would it do? That could probably be solved with a security system like a backup system. But the other question is, who the heck else wants your documents besides you?
Someone wants to steal his identity.
To do what?
Register for a credit card, get a loan.
Anything fraudulent?
But how much money will they be able to get if they do this?
How much he has in
No,
his
the
account.
question would be, this is what I'm trying to say is,
Good.
I have 700,
Okay, well, if you're Bill Gates, you probably need a different credit card security system than if you're me. You see what I'm saying?
actually, you can't track your credit card. You can't track, because you didn't spend money much as you spend it daily. And one of the time, I found $300 gone from my credit card. Easy to track.
Right, did you get the money back?
Yeah, I did.
You got it back. And this is what people don't understand. You know, people will say, oh, he's going to steal my bank account. He's going to steal my money. Well, this is what the truth of it is. The bank pays you back. So what's the big deal?
Yeah, it's big. I mean, a big deal. That's what you talk about. We are not safe.
Life's not safe.
Well, yeah, life is not safe, but don't.
It's not safe. But I
Right.
mean, when I open my laptop in the public area, like in the airport, you're talking about somebody, you start about 10,000 login and give him.
How often does that happen? Not a lot. But the fact that it does happen, I'll give that to
It's
you.
easy
Correct.
do it.
It is. I
Not-
mean,
It's a technical skill that not a lot of people have, and when that does happen, eventually they will get caught, and eventually you will get your credit card money back or whatever. But I do understand the fact that you're concerned. Everybody should be aware that you're not safe, and it's not to scare you. It's to put the idea in your mind that be cognizant of protection and just to protect yourself, but don't go to sleep every night and say, man, my MacBook's open, they're gonna steal my cookie game that I'm clicking a lot on, and I'm panicking. Don't do that.
I
Yeah.
prefer to
Well-
using public Wi-Fi with my smartphone because it's fast. This is what I'm thinking, not commit to the Wi-Fi.
Well, just to be specific about your situation, okay, so as I understand, you have documents on your computer that are sensitive that you don't want to get out, and no one wants to get in trouble when they're connected to Wi-Fi. If there is a malicious person out there that's sniffing packets on the Wi-Fi, they will only have what you give them. So if you log into a website, use a username and password, and they're sniffing it, in that terrible scenario, they will have that information. But if you're not doing anything that could put you at risk, you can use public Wi-Fi. I don't think they care if you check Gizmodo or any blog or you read a story on CNN, because that stuff just does come across, it just gets transferred and people can see that. As far as your documents go, the way to protect that and anything on your computer is to make sure your computer is up to date. Just because you connect to a public Wi-Fi doesn't mean that they can break in and see everything on your hard drive. That's not the case. That is only the case if you haven't updated your system and they can break into your computer. So as long as you have Windows or MacBook, as long as you don't turn off updates, Apple will take care of most of that for you. So Macs are notoriously safe from remote exploits. There's not much malware for Macs. There's adware and a few things out there, but most of them it's relatively secure, and I would sleep a little better at night knowing that you're a little more safe than a Windows person. But it's all a matter of what you do. If you're paranoid, don't check your bank account on public Wi-Fi. If you do, that's a risk you have to take, and really, there is a possibility that someone can do it, but it's still kind of unlikely. There's not that many people in the world that want to spend their weekdays or weekends sitting and phishing people's stuff. It can happen, but that's just up to you. Don't check your FAFSA, don't check your anything to do with any of your legal documents. Don't IM someone and be like, hey, here's my password, or hey, here's my social, if you can just take care of this for me. And sometimes the most dangerous thing to do at a public place is leave your laptop open and let people see what you're up to, because shoulder surfing is, someone just looking over your shoulder can be just as deadly or just as dangerous to your privacy.
Yeah, no question. There are plugins for like different browsers you can download.
What browser do you use? Is it you use the Windows? Is it a blue icon with an E? Internet Explorer? Mozilla Firefox, okay. They have, you can Google Firefox plugins, and it comes up as like an app store, almost kind of like the app store for Google or for Apple, and you can just search. What I usually do is I go to the most popular, I find the list that lists the most popular extensions, and it's usually number one. Almost every single extension app store I visited for Chrome, Firefox, all the other ones, Ad Blocker, and Ad Blocker Plus is the one I use. You just press install, it does its little thing, it'll download, it's very quick. And then when you restart your browser, you'll notice your websites look different. The layout sometimes changes because they remove the areas that they would fit in ads. Everything looks cleaner and it's just a better browsing experience. It's what I've done for quite some time now, but that's it.
You all introduce yourselves as like IT majors, and you're all like from fair part mostly employed. Is there any like security credentials or certifications that you'd like recommend or talk about as far as like what's admired in the industry?
I think the first one I would go with is Security Plus. It's a very general one, and after that, CEH is a very good one to get. Also, it's very hands-on. It's a certified ethical hacker. So I think those are the two I would recommend.
I'm Security Plus certified, and it wasn't that bad. It's kind of like I wouldn't say low level because it's technical, but not extremely high level. It kind of falls in the category of like A+ certification, meaning you know how to build a computer and you know your way around the hardware. CompTIA offers the Security Plus, and I think that's a pretty good place to start. It kind of goes over like here's what malware is, here are the different kind of malware, and it goes pretty in depth, but it kind of stops at that point where you know enough to get you by and to be pretty safe. I think it's about like $200 to $300 to certify. It takes about 2 hours. It's not so bad. That's the first one I get, and then like James said, the CH Certified Ethical Hacker. That one is pretty much the next level. It makes you get really hands-on. You do a lot of labs. They ask you to hack stuff. It's pretty good. That's what my sites are set on for the next one.
And I think there's also one more. I think CISSP. That's for
business
like management.
people, you know, for business and management people, the CISSP is what you would probably want. And the Cisco has one too, right? CC is a CCSP, Cisco Certified Security Professional, I think it is, or CCSA or something like that. Or it has an acronym. What, are you in business school or are you in IT?
CSE major.
Yeah, okay, so you'd want to go with what these Security Plus. But if you want to find a good way to see, like CEH is really cool, but I'm not sure how many jobs require it. Maybe some, maybe there are a lot, I don't know. But if you go to Career Builder and you do security and certification and you go and you search it on there, you can see how many jobs there are for that thing and you can guess how marketable you can be based on that.
Yeah.
Is there any science in finding some computers
Yeah, if you're using it, if it's on. I'm sorry.
Often there are signs, such as pop-ups and such like and things like that. So typically, yes.
Performance is also a big one. If you notice, it's
I think we touched on it earlier in the talk. Pop-ups, your computer running slow, weird processes running.
If it acts differently than it should, then I would start looking, like Eric said.
See toolbars randomly appearing on your internet browsers. You did an install, or you go to add or remove programs and you don't recognize something that's been loaded in there, or even your startup programs, if you were to look through those and there's something with a weird name on it. Yeah.
And to be all of your friends got an email from you yesterday?
Sometimes it's not really clear what a virus is and what a virus isn't. Sometimes there's a little gray area, like there might be some software that's just really bad software. Is it necessarily a virus? It's hard to say. It might be slowing your computer down, and it might not be adding a lot of value to your life, but there's a little gray area.
got a question on Twitter.
Let's grab the Twitter question first, just because technology.
So we got a question. I don't know if the name, if the person wants to be revealed by name, but the question is, in regards to CA certificates online, are there other decentralized alternatives that we could use instead of root certificates? Who would like to pick that one up?
If I can. So, I'm not looking at Twitter right now, but does the question pretty much just summarize?
It literally says,
is there anything besides, is there a better alternative than certifications?
yeah, the bottom line is, are there other decentralized alternatives that we could use instead of root certificates?
Speaking from management, so as a project manager, when you try to pull people onto your team, you get like their skill set and whatever, but they get hired into the company, so they have to be up to snuff. Unfortunately, my answer is, as management would say no.
Wait, I think you might have misunderstood the question.
Yeah.
Digital
Like
Certi-
SSL, right?
Yes, certification authority, not like certs for these people. It's
About SSL certification.
Oh, that was
And I'll take it then.
different.
So
completely.
SSL works based on a key, and when you have a typical website like your bank, it's a series of keys that certifies that your bank is actually your bank. So for websites, we are really forced to rely on the keys that are in place because the authenticity of the keys is actually built into the web browser, web browsers that you use. So you can't just spin up your own key, but and use it the same way that you normally would. But you can just spin up your own key. It just doesn't work the same. So you can spin up your own keys, and then you can encrypt things, and then no one on earth will know what your private key is except for you. And you know, we talked a lot about how insecure you are, but mathematically speaking, encryption works. There's flaws in software, but encryption in itself, just mathematically, it does protect you, and you can add more protection by encrypting with more bits. So yes, you can generate your own keys, but you can't use it to go to your bank's website.
And I'm not sure about decentralized alternatives. I believe that by decentralized you mean
Mainstream, that's what-
not mainstream. There's a few open source implementations that are available out there. One is OpenSSL, OpenCA, Nomint. If you go on the Wikipedia page for certificate authority, at the section at the bottom they have alternate ones that you can use if you don't trust VeriSign or any of the other popular ones like GoDaddy, because those can be compromised, and some of the big attacks that have happened on major websites have been due to certificate hijacks and different exploits to do with the signing authority. So there are options out there. There's always options.
Nick, you still have a question?
Okay.
Some recommendations on two fire, I guess, general web browser extensions. In addition to an ad blocker, I prefer plugin blockers like flash blockers.
No script.
Yes, stuff like that, because what happens is if you see a pop-up, it's great if you don't have to even see what the pop-up is. You know, oh, it's a pop-up, and I'm going to click on the flash. And your CPU and battery will thank you a lot, especially if you're on a website and you have 90 flash ads going on the side. Oh, click on me here, here's a vacation. Well, and then the other one I really like, I can't remember what browser I have this on right for, but it's for one of them. It's called HTTPS Anywhere, and basically it'll force a secure HTTP connection to websites that normally don't require it. It doesn't work on all of them, but it's better than nothing, and I like using it. Like it will force encryption to stuff like Google.
It's developed by the EFF and it's available to Chrome and Firefox. Spectacular recommendation. That's a really
I
good
use
one.
that one too.
Yep.
That's good.
HTTPS Anywhere will, by default, if possible, always enable HTTPS for sites you visit. So that's a really good way to be pretty secure without having to do much more than clicking an install button. And it's not available in the stores for, it's not available in the Chrome extension store or the Firefox extension store. You have to go to the EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, because they're the developers of it, and you have to kind of go to their site to get it, but it is worthwhile, and I use that myself. Thank you.
There was a question over there.
There's one in the back too.
I saw it.
Over there.
Okay, so let's say you're a IT security guy working for some company, and your boss tells you run a full penetration test in our company. Walks you out the door, closes it. Where do you start? What are the things you're looking for, and then where do you want to end up?
A map.
What does he authorize you to do? Has he given you legal right?
Anything
You
you
have a
want.
piece of paper in your
Go to
hand
the
that
dumpster.
says, I can do anything.
Yeah, okay, after social engineering. After you
Okay,
try
after
to
social
pay off the
engineering.
security guard, you can't impersonate the boss.
If you carry something heavy and look like you're struggling a lot and wait for a poor soul to walk by and help you and you walk into the building, it works. It works. Nmap.
Yep.
Nmap for sure. Also, some of the stuff like checking the DNS registration of the website will give you information about who registered it. There's a whole entire section, and sometimes even books dedicated to nothing but information gathering. That's the first step of beginning a hack or bringing down a target or getting to your goal is information gathering. That's, I think it was a quote by Abraham Lincoln that said, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 5 sharpening my axe. information gathering is huge, and there's lots of places. If you just Google information gathering penetration testing, there's a lot of really, really good guides on that, different apps you can use that'll make your life easier, but that's the first start. And then scans, you can tell something's about to go down if you see your stuff starting to get scanned.
My view on scanning corporate environments is that it should never be done by the administrators who run it. So any security holes that I'm aware of, I'm obviously going to fix on my servers. If someone gave me that task, I would say, okay, we're going to find a reputable company to scan our infrastructure. And it's just like you want your coders and your testers to be separate. It's the same principle.
A fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah, I did a study on a firewall log earlier this year, or no, I guess it was last year, sorry. And a friend of mine here is a VP of network systems, basically IT manager in a local company, and he gave me his, I guess, an 8 million record firewall log. And in that 8 million record firewall log, there were 164,000 attempts to open a port that were not from IP addresses that he did any business with. And what it is like is like if a person's going to steal from our university, they're going to check every doorknob, right? They're going to check to see if it's open. They open one, oh, I can steal computers from this room. It's the same thing with these port scans. So that might be a starting point for you. If you want to do a quote-unquote full, whatever that means, full penetration test. And Matt would do it for you.
Yep. A Matt and Metasploit.
That's very good. That's part of it.
Yep.
Recently, researchers found a way to scan the entire internet with a tool called ZMap. They kind of modified it to allow for parallelization, and I have yet to read the white paper and get super technical on it. I heard about it from Q sources, but to their in their words, they were able to scan the entire internet in a matter of hours as opposed to weeks or days or weeks, months, however long it would take to normally do it. But scanning tools are incredibly powerful. They're really interesting, and I'm pretty sure we'll have a few lectures to talk just about them and kind of show you what can be done with just a simple scan.
Any other questions?
Yeah, not a question, just an idea. If anyone ever has to administer like a lab situation where you have untrusted people, like let's say a public library or a school where you don't trust people going on the computers, a tool that we use at one of my jobs is a program called Deep Freeze, and what it does is it basically makes your disk such that any changes you make are redirected somewhere else to a hidden partition. When you reboot, all your changes are gone. So you can infect it as much as you want. You can basically blow up the computer. You reboot, it's fresh and back to where you were. So that basically can save on a lot of antivirus stuff, a lot of re-imaging, a lot of IT support. Just cleans up the system, makes it clean for the next user.
OU uses that in some of their labs.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Last call? Sure.
You guys talked a little bit about VPNs. Like, is it possible to like be on a public Wi-Fi by VPN to like a home internet connection?
Yes.
One thing that I do a lot of remote work from home for consumers, and unfortunately I'm not being secure, but Eric's borrowing my laptop. So what that particular laptop has is it has its wireless connection, connect to GridNet or whatever, and then I have a Cisco VPN that we're required to use to get access to internal company resources such as email and whatever. So you log onto your Wi-Fi and then you go through that VPN, and I can sit at the OC or I can sit here and I'm VPN'd in. So yes.
You can also set up your own at home if you don't want to pay for the service. A really cool project, since I'm assuming we're all kind of techies, kind of care about tech in general, is setting up your own VPN so you can access it from home, which basically lets you use everything on your home network as if you were there, just from outside. It's easier done with a Raspberry Pi, which, if you guys don't know what it is, it's like a $35 computer. It's like the size of a credit card, just a little bigger. It's got full processor, RAM, Ethernet, USB, all that stuff. It's super dirt cheap, and what you can do is just throw a few versions of Linux, whatever you're comfortable with, and set up your own VPN. There's guides upon guides. It's all over Google. Not really even that hard to do. and that way you don't have to pay for a subscription or service. You just have one IP that you can VPN into, and that'll secure your connection from the outside and let you get to your home. Like for example, if you have a network attached storage with a bunch of your movies, you can access that, or you can access all your files on your hard drive that you connect to your Raspberry Pi. There's a lot of really cool things you can do, but I would recommend taking that up as a project if it interests you.
One tool I look into is Tango. It makes setting up VPN really easy. Took me like 30 minutes to set one up, and obviously you need to open port on your router to get to it from outside network. So
Just make sure you secure it.
yep.
Don't leave the default password.
Yes.
I'm wondering, you know how it seems like a lot of things are being done in the cloud these days? Like, what do you think about that? Is that safe or like not safe? Not safe? Seems like it's not safe. I don't know your opinion on that.
That was actually a question we had that got cut out, so you're pretty smart.
By definition, the cloud is allowing companies to store your data. And this is some of the same companies that have shared other data historically. So the cloud in itself is a dangerous part for security. But there's really two alternatives. There's to use the cloud or to set up your own infrastructure, set up your own VPN, set up your own web server, all that crazy stuff. People like me who are system administrators and like to be system administrators when they go home at night do that kind of stuff. But for your everyday person, I don't really think there's a whole lot of alternatives. I mean, the cloud just, it's so useful that it's really hard to replicate. But it brings up a lot of concerns security-wise.
I will admit I use it a lot. Chris?
I've actually done some research on your question. It kind of comes down to who your cloud provider is, as Eric was mentioning. Some of the bigger corporations are a little more reputable, but there are a lot of security questions involved with the cloud, and they're not necessarily up to the security standards that you can reach on your own physical machine. So just be careful what you put on there.
Yes.
You can also encrypt a folder. Let's say you put in like your Dropbox or Google Drive.
True.
Get a little more secure.
Very good idea.
So I know on Dropbox, I think last time I checked, the stuff that packets are sent is encrypted. Is that correct? Is that still true?
It was, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same exact one, but there was, a good place to keep up on the latest hacks if any of you guys are Redditors. Maybe show of hands, Narwhal Bacon's, yo. All right. For those of you that aren't familiar, Reddit is like a website where you pretty much have it's like a big forum that people can submit stuff to. There's one for NetSec. It's reddit.com/r/netsec. And that's where a lot of people that just kind of like security will post stuff, and you hear about the latest and greatest way before any of the big blogs get their hands on it. Just yesterday I heard about a 32-bit version of Dropbox, the Windows client, disabled ASLR on Windows machines, which pretty much randomizes where the important stuff on your system is. So if you get infected with a virus, they won't know exactly where to infect to get your information in kind of layman's terms. They patched that as far as I know, and they used to send packets in plain text, but they didn't enable encryption for all their services, I believe, on all clients. So I use Dropbox extensively. I'm a Dropbox junkie. I hate to look a little hypocritical in front of you guys, but I use the cloud for all this stuff. And it's just, don't put your social security number in the cloud. It comes down to common sense. Don't put anything in the cloud that you wouldn't want to trust somebody with for your wallpapers, for your school documents. It's too convenient not to use, I think, but
And it could go down during a storm.
it could go down during a storm, so make sure you're around places where you have access, because
All right, last question.
Any last minute anythings?
okay.
All right, thank you all for coming. And actually, I do have one more question. When is our next event? Yep. Next Thursday from noon to 1 in Dodge Hall 203, and we will be cracking some passwords. So definitely come out if you're interested. And talk to any one of us. Yes, Doctor.
I have a question.
Yep.
I guess you're recruiting more members, right?
Yes.
How to be a member of your club?
So to be a member, you need to sign a white hat agreement. What that is it says anything we teach you, you won't use it for malicious purpose. So
Be Batman.
yeah.
And I do have copies of that outside, and those are just if you're actively, like next week when we're doing password cracking, if you are participating in that, I will need one of those on files, things like this panel discussion. Obviously, you don't need to have that.
Anything hands-on will require you to commit to an agreement saying that you solemnly swear you are up to no good.
One last point, I do have auto owner's insurance, or 2 points. I have auto owner's insurance coming in hopefully by the end of the month, or October, November or something. What does that mean for you guys? Bring your resumes when you come to these events. They want to give you jobs, hopefully. So come, I mean, you don't have to necessarily be into security. You can be accounting, business, networking, paper pushing, whatever you want to do. Come with a resume and see if they can help you out. Point 2, I have a guy from the FBI coming middle October, hopefully. So again, resumes for that. Keep in mind, when he spoke at my work, he said that they only hire about 1% of the resumes they get. But that so give them a whole lot of resumes.
Yep.
But don't let that stop you from, coming anyway.
Yeah, we'll be sending out emails for any upcoming events, so definitely stay tuned over there. And thank you all for coming. If there's no last minute comments and questions.
If you guys do have questions or anything, email us, Twitter, whatever, we'll get back to you. We're not just here to have a panel and send you on your merry way and give you pizza, even though that's part of the reason.
We'll stick around for a little bit, and if you guys want more food, swing by 224. There's probably still pizza left.
Again, thank you everybody for coming. Appreciate it. Let us know if you have any questions, and stay safe. Thank you.